Welcome to Marriage, Let's Talk, hosted by legendary worldwide marriage encounter leader, Father Rosy Rosebrough, featuring Catholic married couples from around the world who demonstrate healthy communication for building better marriages. And now, here's Father Rosy.
Hi, Father Rosy here. I'm glad you could join us today. This podcast is not talking about marriage. It is where we're going to share how to create a better marriage through communicating feelings in authentic ways. Did you have a day off today?
Father Rosy, you're hilarious. A day off.
I was off today. What topic have you chosen tonight to share?
Our dialogue question what fear limits me in our dialogue? How do I feel sharing this with you now?
So what fear? Okay, gotcha. Okay, we'll begin. We'll go from there.
All right. You want me to go first?
Usually.
All right. My love, a quality of yours I found most endearing was your thoughtfulness at remembering the Jeep needed gas so that I could take my mom to her blood draw this morning. Something you do that I truly value is bring me my favorite sunflowers. That was super sweet. Remember when we didn't have something to do all the time, every day from morning until night? I have two fears that limit me in our dialogue. One is the fear of rejection, and the other is the fear of losing my independence. I don't like being shut down or tuned out, and I would certainly rather storm out of the room and drive away for a while than to fight, even for the sake of our relationship. I feel hesitant sharing this with you now. Hesitant smells like the food court at Resorts World in Las Vegas. Hesitant is walking at night or early morning here in Tucson without a flashlight. I feel hesitant. A taste for my hesitant feeling would be eating Pei Wei again after we both got sick that one time. Talking to you about Taryn needing money brings up a similar hesitant feeling. I love you always, me.
Dear my love, your MQ is all the behind the scenes work you do for our ministry. No one knows that you do it, but they are very appreciative that it gets done. Remember when life wasn't so crazy and seemed easier? We must be in the same place.
Yeah.
My fear of failure keeps me limited in dialogue because I don't want to look weak or incapable in your eyes. I feel exposed telling you this now. Exposed tastes like a copycat recipe from a famous restaurant. Exposed smells like actually being the one who dealt it. Exposed is that dream where you are naked at school. Exposed is those tabloids that someone cheated on their spouse or stole from investors. Exposed in song is Take a Look at Me Now by Phil Collins. Love forever, Chris.
Well,
Your hesitant feeling, I was good until the last one because I would think that would be much higher than your others, but it is what it is.
I have really strong hesitant feelings. I didn't give mine a number. You didn't give yours a number. If you had to give yours a number, what would your...
Probably pretty high, maybe 8 or 9.
Well, that's not helpful. Mine's probably an 8 or a 9 as well.
Okay.
Your exposed you don't normally rate your feelings that high though, and I am normally a high rater. So should we dialogue on your exposed feeling?
Sure.
All right. Did you give your exposed feeling a smell? Oh, the one who dealt it. Is there another smell that might
Exposed smell. Maybe like getting caught doing something like when I was a kid, my dad said I could not get this one certain rocket firework, and my mom took me and my dad did not. So I got the one said rocket firework, and then I lit it off, and it had this really distinct smell. And my dad's like, "What is that?" And so I got caught, obviously. So kind of like that, where it's a smell that's related to being exposed. I don't know if that really helps much, but that came to my mind.
I remember your dad telling me the story. I remember your mom telling me the same story. They both told it to me 2 separate 4th of Julys. It really brings up a strong feeling of patriotic, childhood, sparklers, all of that, but not really exposed.
Okay.
If your exposed feeling were a color.
Flushed red cheeks. Like you're there, and you're just at the center of attention, and it's not really where you want to be at that moment.
So flushed red cheeks for me, or the way you're describing it, brings up an embarrassed. So is there an element of
Very similar? It's kind of a fine line, because like I'm being exposed, my fear of failure exposed. Sorry, our dogs. My fear of failure exposed is it's almost embarrassed, because I don't want to look weak. I don't want to look like I can't do it. So there's a fine line there. I get where you're saying it's embarrassed.
I have a really strong I have a really strong feeling, but for me maybe higher than it was for you at the time. But I'm going to come back to it because I want to see if I can get there with something else. Because it gives me a reaction. I can feel it. Okay. Previously, no, I don't want to do that, because that's where see, you already know what.
Pretty sure I know.
Okay. How about a taste?
Another taste?
Yeah.
I don't really, it's not popping in my head, but something similar. Do you remember Billy telling us about when he went to his mom's for Christmas, I believe, and they were having lasagna, but she cheated and bought catered lasagna, and he was like expecting actual lasagna, and she tried to play it off like she was the one that cooked it, kind of like that. I mean, it's not our experience, but that's the same. Like, she got caught. She was exposed for not actually cooking.
Exposed, like when Karen would do something and you would just call her attention to it. Feels to me like, again, I go to embarrassed being the stronger element of exposed. And in those cases with her, felt more defensive.
Exposed. I mean, you got caught doing whatever.
If your exposed feeling were a nature scene. I mean, would it be like some of those videos? I don't think they're embarrassed. They don't have an element of embarrassed though, but those videos where we see like the animals doing crazy things, but they're like caught on camera. They have no control over.
No, not like that, because they don't. There's no, like, animals don't have like embarrassed, like they just,
Yeah,
they're just acting. They're just doing whatever. It's I can't think. Maybe an exposed would be like it rains really hard and it washes off all of the the ground, the covering dirt, and then what exposes the rocks underneath. Like flood, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's that after the storm, kind of that, like the when you and I would go, or when we went right after the big tornado before we moved. I'm thinking about like Lori's house when we went to go over there, and she was like, "Come look," and the house had moved off the foundation, like exposing. But there wasn't this element of like embarrassed to it, or
No, I don't think that. But I don't think that mine is really embarrassed. I just think it's a fine line. I don't have embarrassment about failing. I mean, that I feel exposed, but it is what it is, and you got to fix it.
so it'd be great if you would just say the tornado thing then when the house was moved off the
Well,
foundation.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like you brought up the embarrassment, but I don't feel embarrassed about this.
Okay. So the previous experience I'm thinking of, again, though, for me, it carries a strong element of embarrassment. Was when we went on vacation with your parents and we walked in the condo and your dad was just walking around in his birthday suit, like it was it was just no big deal, and that was a lot of exposed that I did not need to see, right?
It was different for you and me. Like you, it's like a 10 off the scale, and me, I'm like, it's just my dad being stupid. So it wasn't the same. We didn't have the same experience.
No. Um okay. Yeah. See, much stronger element of embarrassed for him, for myself, for you. Okay. So when we went to Cabo that time, and I fell and I got sand all in my swimsuit, and then I was like, come in here after I took a shower, and there was all that dirt just from all of me falling in the sand, and like just right, like I judged that I brought half the beach with me, but I was very clean, but like completely dirty, and the shower was not. And I think even just the falling element, again, it brought up a strong element of embarrassed, but the completely covered in sand and dirt to just all of it being off and like, whoa, that, like that, no.
Close. But for me, it'd be more like when you were trying to get the sand out of your swimsuit and you were like pulling, the swimsuit out so the sand would fall.
Of course you had to say that.
Plus the exposed part.
Okay, so exposed, like when the lady thought that I was pooping on the beach because I was pulling sand out of my swimsuit and it was coming out in clumps, exposed like that.
Now you get my feeling.
Strong element of embarrassed.
Yes, but you understand it.
I was thank you. I got a good laugh out of the last part. That was
I'm glad we could entertain you, Father Rosie.
there was something that jumped out at me. This the topic is interesting, and the exposed versus embarrassment are mixture of both at the same time, but not trying to put you down. But it's an inner like a wince, like you go more like a quick wince. It doesn't take over you, but it's a wince. You know you had a wince just a second, and something's not right, and I don't feel comfortable. I was thinking, what came to mind for me is I decided when I was a young priest at a parish St. Mark's, I got a group of about 5 or 6 women. It might have been one man there who were retired to talk about the coming Gospels coming up next Sunday. I'm going to give some thoughts, and usually I came with a couple of thoughts and then they added their own. Well, it was a multiplication of loaves and fishes. 5 loaves and 2 fish. Okay, the story. I had nothing to bring. I was, I was like, my brain was just frozen. And I got there, we sat around the table, and I said, I'm embarrassed today because as much as it should be, I should have all kinds of thoughts and ideas, but nothing came today. And just as I said that, I remember when the apostles saying, all we have is 5 fish and 2 loaves of bread and 5 fish. And I'm going, as I said that, I started laughing. I was exposed of a sense, like my humility and paucity of gifts. My bag was empty and there's holes in it. And all of a sudden, that was what the Lord wanted. All you have is, being exposed. And then I don't know if the experience you had, Chris, that kind of a thing. Yours, I don't know, was fraud discovered or just exposed, which is almost sudden saying, folks, I have nothing to give today. And you're not ashamed. It's just empty. Your bowl is empty. You didn't make it empty. It just is empty.
I don't know if you
But that
saw
became
him.
a very powerful moment.
I don't know if you saw him tap my leg when you said that winced, right? And I was like, there's that element of like, ugh, like just, and he tapped my leg when you said that. I was like, oh, okay. Like that.
I couldn't see the tab. I couldn't see your hands, Chris.
Yeah, they're low.
But there was a wince affirmation that I did not know about.
Right.
Yep.
But I like what that gal said to you. You thought you were going to the bathroom.
Yep. And I mean, honestly, if you can imagine, so we went with some friends of ours. We were rock jumping from rock to rock out into the ocean. And I missed a rock, but I thought I could get to the next rock, but I did not. And I went straight underwater, and all the sand from the bottom of the ocean just went straight up my swimsuit. So when I stood up and he's like checking on me, are you okay? Are you okay? And I said, yes, I just have a lot of sand on me. And I just took the bottom of my swimsuit and like pulled it out a little bit. And he starts laughing because the woman that's looking at us is like,
disgusted, like,
just like, and he goes, Michelle, it honestly looks like you are not getting sand out of your swimsuit. Like, maybe stop.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
I would call that a wincing exposition, but
Yeah. Oh, look how red I got.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Well, that's normal.
That's normal. Yeah.
But I think what you pointed out to me in the dialogue was that all of us wrestle with the fear of being weak, or being misunderstood, or looking not prepared or not caring. All those, I think one of the greatest compliment I get most of the time is I'm very compassionate. And I love those compliments. But also the deepest hurt I've ever received is when somebody tells me in a public situation, you're the most unforgiving, unloving priest I've ever met. Which is the contradiction to, and that to me would be exposed, that they judged from what I did And that was because I had to confront a personnel issue in the parish. And I could not share the whole story. And they didn't care. And I could get sued by Tush, and the parish gets sued if I let loose the whole story. But that hurt from that person has never left. I've moved beyond it, but I never forget that institution. And he said, "You're the most." They wrote a parable about me, and the parable was to say the most uncompassionate pastor they ever met, and that kind of a hurt or fear, because we all have those fears of being a failure, or misunderstood me. You're going to react instead of listening. You know, I'm sure you did it yesterday, but not today. Today's a different story. And I keep telling it's it's one day at a time, sweet Jesus, one day at a time. But guess what? That was yesterday, one day at a time. Now today I got to do it again. Am I right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's confidence more, but it's also, what if this is not the right time? Maybe it's not the right mood to tell him something or share my fear. You do that, but it doesn't take away the hesitation, the hesitancy that you had, Michelle.
Yeah.
Very true.
And what helps you get through that most of the time when you come up to hesitancy or fear?
So Chris and I actually just talked about this the other night with the share group. We say we have rituals that we do, that we practice. And so if we had something that we dialogued about, if we dialogued on my feeling, if we verbal dialogued on my feeling, and then we walk together every day, we go for a walk. If I'm still judging that I didn't quite understand, maybe my feeling was the strongest and we dialogued on mine, I still want to tap in sometimes to that feeling. And so as we're walking, we'll talk back and forth about mine or his in a more relaxed way, less structured, where we're trying to get to the feeling. I think we open it up when we go for a walk to just anything. And so I think I am able to push through hesitancy because we have those opportunities where I can tap into his feeling, even though we went deeper into my feeling, but I still want to know more about his, or vice versa. That it's important because you're the one that started that when we would be out walking and you were like, "Hey, I didn't really understand. I know we dialogued about mine, but I didn't understand. Can you tell me more about?" I think that's helped me be less hesitant.
And I think it's just open communication. Like that's what dialogue does for us. It gives us the opportunity to talk. And the more you talk, the more comfortable you are sharing your feelings or sharing those hard things or those difficult,
ugly, yucky things.
Yeah. Then the less hesitant you are to share them in the future, because you've built this trust or this back and forth that you're comfortable with, and you're not going to be judged, or you're not going to be ridiculed, or however you want to put it, and because it hasn't happened in the past. So
right. I'll say too that on our weekend experience, one of the things that we learned about was listening, right? And he realized that one of his listening patterns was that if I would come home from work having a bad day and I would share something, he would go, "Oh, well, you need to do this. This is how you fix it," right? And I was like, "I'm just venting. I don't need you to fix the problem." And the other day, like 2 weeks ago, I say the other day, maybe a week ago, I came home from work. I had a really bad day. And he said, "I so want to fix this for you right now." I'm not going to, and I'm going to listen, but let me know if there's an opportunity to offer my opinion. And to me, that was huge because I mean, we went on our weekend and we've gone on several others, right? And we've presented weekends, but and we've talked about it every time. But for him to acknowledge that, like, I am tapping down this strong urge to fix what's happening. And I really just want to be present and listen, but please let me know. And so when we walked that night, I was able to, like, okay, I really want to know what solutions do you have for this and this specifically? Don't give me your whole thing, but like what for this and this. So I think it's moments like that that I judge he's truly listening, and there's less fear for me to be so hesitant.
Well, thank you so much. We had tonight Michelle and Chris Seaman as our guest on Marriage Let's Talk. And until next time, we'll see you. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Father. You too.
Thanks, Father.
I'm so grateful for the guests we had today who shared willingly themselves in their dialogue. And thank you for joining us. I look forward to the next episode when I join you again once more.
This has been Marriage Let's Talk, sponsored by Worldwide Marriage Encounter, the foremost faith-inspired marriage enrichment organization in the world, providing married couples with transformative experiences through couples retreats, small groups, and more. Learn to nurture love in your marriage at wwme.org. Marriage Let's Talk is a production of Mater Media, the apostolate that offers the Celebrate Catholic Marriage experience to energize and fortify married couples through parish events and the 7-step journey to joy. Find out more at matermedia.org.